All right. So this guy said everybody butchers his name. His name is not Matthew McGehee. He said you got to say it like Michael Jackson. His name is Matthew McGehee. So let's get him on the call today. Turn your video on, Matt, if you are not already there. There we go. All right. Unmute yourself, Matt.
Hey, man. Great job with the McGehee.
There we go. So guys, I want to take the next 15, 20 minutes here and talk about a guy that has been in sales before, overcame some adversity, adjusted, has a whatever it takes attitude, passed this exam, all this stuff got jacked up, couldn't get contracted, got contracted. And then in his first month, part-time here, I'm doing air quotes because he got full-time results, but and I'm going to let him share his story. He said his goal was to submit 20,000 his first month. He submitted damn near 30,000, if not exceeded that. So Matt, I want to break down, I gave you a brief outline before the call. So I want to talk about what you did before you came here, obviously what attracted you to the process of getting on board, and really talk about the commitments that you made, how you had extreme time management, conversations you had with your family on what it was going to look like for the next year and what your goals are. So let's start with what you've been doing the past few years.
Awesome. Well, first off, thank you for the opportunity to speak on here and share my story. And second, thanks to Garrett, because without his persistency and following up, I wouldn't be here. So a little bit about me. I went to school to be a teacher, so I knew I was going to be helping people and educating people. Now I just look at it like I'm educating and teaching them about something else. I stepped out of teaching because I got into sales. I enjoyed the time freedom that I had. I actually spent the last 5 years selling Rainbow vacuum cleaners. So if people don't know about that, it's a $3,500 vacuum. So it's not something that people usually need, but we still did good doing that. So I was able to retire my wife. It gave me the time freedom that I wanted. And when Garrett originally brought this to me, whenever he first started, I was making 15, 20,000 a month selling vacuum cleaners. And
how much in sales? How much in sales did you sell in vacuum cleaners?
A little over like almost 2 million in 4.5 years.
That's a lot of vacuums.
It's a lot of vacuums, But, I enjoyed it. I made my own schedule. I was making good money. So when Gary brought this to me, he said, hey, you probably be good at this too. I said, yeah, that's awesome. Good luck with it. But I didn't need anything else. And then fast forward, he just kept following up with me, showing me all the numbers, not only his, but the team. And I kept seeing the consistency from him and everybody else. And then come August of this past year, we had the hurricane that came down in South Louisiana. And at that point, the area that I was running was devastated. So instead of me driving 30 minutes for an appointment, I was driving 2.5 hours for an appointment. And it got to the point where I wasn't driving 5 hours round trip to do a 2-hour demonstration to maybe get paid. So I said, all right, I'm going to take my exam. I was out of power for 2 weeks. So we got a Airbnb in Texas. I studied while I was in Texas. I passed my exam. And September, I passed my exam right whenever I got back into the States. And I told my boss for Rainbow I was quitting. I went over to his house and I quit right then and there when I passed the test. And he's like, well, what does this look like? Are you still going to be able to work with us part-time? Like, I don't want you turning in your kit and everything. And I said, well, best case scenario for y'all, I'll be done at the end of the year. Worst case scenario for y'all, I'll be done in November. I'm going to give you the rest of the month, let me finish off my leads that I was doing. And then the whole uproar happened you were talking about. So it took me an extra month to get my license. And then the state issued me the wrong line of authority. So I couldn't actually start writing business until December. So I quit my job in October, couldn't start writing business until December. So whenever it came point to the rubber to meet the road, I just had to run with it. So in Rainbow, when you qualify to open up your own office, you had to have $60,000 in order to open up. And then you can expect at least $30,000 a month in overhead. So I didn't even look at leads as an expense for me to buy leads. I looked at it as a business overhead. So I came into it saying, you know what, if I can run a $1 million business for $8,000 a month in overhead, $10,000 a month in overhead, that's what I'm gonna do. So day one, I started off on the Monday. I bought $1,200 in leads. I was only able to work the Tuesday, Wednesday, because I had Rainbow still the end of the month for the end of the weekend. So I did 1,200 in leads. I made like 5,000. I paid Garrett back the 1,200, bought another $1,200 in leads the following Monday. Did the same thing where I wrote about $10,000 and then I replenished leads. And then my wife's car broke. So I had to go ride and pick up a brand new car. And they gave me the note with $2,000 down and with nothing down. And I asked my wife, I said, well, do you trust me? And she said, of course I do. Why? I said, well, I'm going to put nothing down and we're going to double up and we're going to make some money. And that's what I did. I just doubled up and been buying my leads, making the calls and doing whatever it takes. You know, like I told you this morning, I live about an hour and a half away from Garrett's office. So I was up at 4:30, 5 o'clock this morning, getting everything ready. Got to the office an hour and a half before everybody just to get everything set up because I want to make the most out of the time that I have. You know, I'm not the best looking. I'm not the richest. I'm not the fastest, but I can't outwork anybody. So if I put my mind to it, that's what I'm going to try to do.
That's just like a whole 101 on the correct mindset to have when you come into a business like this. And the leads that you've run, you're writing all this business. It's not mortgage protection. You're running final expense. You bought CRM leads. Maybe you got a couple mortgage leads in there. When I'm listening to you on the phone, which I think a lot of people got to hear you overcome that rebuttal today. You're going to call it the lady you're calling on Thursday. You remember that one?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that's something that gets developed over like 5 or 6 years of insurance sales. And that was probably your 400th phone call. And you're handling things, any objections that you're getting, you're handling it so smoothly. You're not defensive. You're hearing people, you're telling them, you know, a lot of things that just like a veteran insurance salesman would say, which is like, look, I'm on your side of the table. How did you have that approach towards the phones? Were you doing a lot of calls? Actually, were you doing a lot of calls when you were selling vacuums, or is this the first phone gig?
I've never done calls. So the only reason why I did the vacuums is because they had a program set up where you bought one rainbow and we gave you your money back to get it for free if you gave us 12 more leads to go to. So I didn't make any phone calls. It was strictly referral based business. And that's what I enjoyed about it. I didn't have to worry about booking appointments. So it was a little bit different with this getting into it. But I think two things helped the growth curve. I did some network marketing and sales. So I got a lot of personal development and training from that. But then also I probably watched 60 to 70 videos on FFL on YouTube. Whether it's from you, whether it's from Steve, whether it's from Mark Me, whether it's from, I don't know half the people's names because to be honest, I didn't care what their name was. I just cared the content they were talking about. They were the top producers in the companies. So every night I'm listening to 1 or 2 videos. In my car rides, I'm listening to the videos. In the mornings, I'll wake up early. When I'm getting my day going, I'll just have a video playing in the background. And I think that's how I was able to I don't want to just learn through my mistakes. I want to learn through other people's as well. So if I got to dial down my first 500 calls to make all the mistakes, I just listened to their mistakes to where my first 20, I got my mistakes out the way. And then it was just running from there.
I love how you did that this morning. You were muted when you said it, but then you typed it in the comments. You're like, look at my, first of all, you're using the tools, which is great. So you're learning your numbers. So after a month or 2 of doing that, you're going to just have that stuff in your head. But in the beginning, because sales is all about numbers, like you're tracking all your stuff. This morning, you lifted up that sheet. You said, look at all these hash marks. No appointments yet. I just got all those. No, there it is. Right there it is. That's perfect. So you're tracking your numbers. You know your numbers. Now I want to break down something you told me the other night. We talked like for the first time on a personal level, whenever that was, 4 or 5 days ago. You said, look, when I go all in on something, I go all in. We were joking about you collecting and trading bourbons to make some money, you know, when you weren't making a ton of money when the hurricane hit. But what is your mindset towards all in? What does it mean to you to go all in on this?
So for me, it's all the time. So I'm going to wake up. Well, first off, Sunday night, I'm buying my leads. And Saturday, I'm looking at all my leads, getting them all in. Monday morning, I'm going to wake up early and I'm going to get everything ready and I'm going to make my phone calls for Monday. Now, with the schedule I'm going to run, since I'm really big into family, I was actually a stay-at-home dad for about 4 years. So I got to be at home with my kids all the time. And I just work nights and weekends outside of it. So I'm going to have a kind of not duplicatable schedule because I'm always work, but I'm always be off as well. But it don't make much sense. So Mondays, I'm making my phone calls from 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning to about 10:30. I'll catch a little bit of break. I'm going to do some live transfers, get me a couple of extra telesales in during the day, do my lunch routine, then hit the phones back till I get my appointments. I'll try to have 1 or 2 local appointments for Monday night, still get home by about 5:30, 6 o'clock to do the food and the bedtime routine with the kids. Tuesdays, I'll work in the first appointment, however early you want to get up, and the last appointment, whatever time you get home. Wednesdays, the same thing as Tuesday. Thursday is going to be the same thing as Monday. Friday, Saturday is going to be repeat. And then, I mean, I'm big on church and family and everything else, but I talk to God and I talk to people every day. So I don't need to go to church on Sunday morning. I'm going to work whenever I can, because I have the mindset. I don't want to say what if with this opportunity. In past opportunities, I didn't work as hard as I could. I kind of wasted it a little bit. And I have that pain of what if I really would have tried, what if I would have jumped in, all in. And with this one, I don't want to have to say that, and so far, the proof's in the pudding,
That's so key. I know I can speak for myself. I know Steve was the same way. I know Garrett was the same way. Steve is more shrewd financially than most people I know. So Steve wasn't in a bunch of debt when he started here. He wasn't making any money and he wanted to change his position. He played like a crazy starving animal with his back against the wall. I know I did that too. I spent 30% of what I had to my name on my first set of leads when I came in here. So I had no choice but to push. Garrett's the same way. He came out and he made a big splash. Garrett had debt. He had a reason. He had mouths to feed. Same thing. I think when anybody removes the what if from the equation, it's just, I'm just going to do it. There's only one direction you can go. There's only one trajectory that you'll experience from that. Is that if you burn your ships and you don't look backwards, you play like that. And when you do business the right way, where you never have to look behind you because you're doing right by your agents and your clients, it is just it's a 45-degree line straight to success. And you can force that line. It doesn't need to be dips and valleys. You can be consistent. And the way that you're describing what you're going to do, I imagine that's what your trajectory is going to be. I mean, you're like, dude, when was the last day of December? I might do X amount of business. I'm like, well, my man, it was last Wednesday. You're like, that's cool, because now I'm just going to have a $50,000 January.
Right.
You seem like you strike me as the kind of person, when you say it, you're going to work your tail off to hit it, because you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy that says,
I can only control my words. So whatever I say, I'm going to try to do. And back against the wall, I made 6 figures 2 years in a row with Rainbow. I retired my wife, got her out of teaching so she could be a stay-at-home parent with me. And then my income went from 6 figures to 45,000 last year because of COVID and the hurricane. So whenever I came in, it was back against the wall. I'm gonna do it. So we just run it.
So these are the kind, and I'm using you as an example right now because I'm very excited about the energy and the positivity that you bring to this agency. And I'm gonna read a couple texts here that like we've sent back and forth, because I think it's just very indicative of where your head's at. Just out of nowhere, you're like, yo, what logo names are available? What do I have to do to get my name locked in? By the way, just bought 99 leads for tomorrow, going for a 20K week. Like, these are things that are unprompted that you say. Other things is when we're talking about what the opportunity is, you've like, excuse my language, you're like, I've busted my ass since 2008 and I deserve success. And I deserve to work really hard to change my family's life. And these are the kind of people, I'm speaking to everybody on the call now, not you, Matt, but like, these are the kind of people that you can build with when that's the mentality that they have. I'm not trying to gas you up, bro, but I'll tell you what, between you and Garrett, that's a lot of breaths of fresh air that's coming in from your mindset and Garrett's. I joke with him, he's the freaking hurricane, he's bringing the storm. I mean, dude, between the two of you, that senior sales manager right there in January, both of you saying you're going to do 50K. There's no way that if you do that, you start the year with that kind of momentum, that you can ever go backwards, because number one, you've got the capital. You now just made about 40 grand deposited into your account, which is a great month. Number two, you can sell without commission breath because you don't need the money anymore. That's the beauty in having big months. It's like windfall. People hear that word all the time. Dude, the first month you make 50, 60 grand, that's windfall. And I think that the approach we'll be able to take towards building will be so greatly impacted by that. It's unbelievable. You should see Steve Giordano's office. He did that because he has windfall months every single month. It looks like he's either a drug dealer or he inherited $100 million is what his office looks like. Right. He made it look so nice, but that's because he had the ability to do that. And he likes to have the environment that he wants to work in. And I see that for you and Garrett. Garrett's texted me an hour ago about him saying, dude, I think I need a bigger office. Like, they were 3 days into January, and this is already the mindset that we have.
Right.
And it's in such perfect alignment with the year of growth. Talk to me about building some of the things you've got in place now. It's not that you just want to produce, right? You've got bigger goals.
Right. So my wife has already been studying. So she's going to be a licensed agent as well. So she's going to do a lot of the recruiting for me. And she's also going to do some telesales at the house whenever we can get the kids to the in-laws. I have 2 people from Rainbow. One of them already took scheduled the test. I already went through all the training. I have 3 interviews this week with people that are already licensed from other agencies. And I'm going to just start getting to the recruiting, because like I told my friends that I knew that sold insurance, if you're going to sell a car, if you're going to sell anything, why would you get paid 30 cents on the dollar? If I can give you $1 for it, why would you take 40 cents? Why would you take 60 cents? Hell, why would you take 90 cents? If I'm going to give you $1 for the same amount of work, why would you take anything less than what your worth is?
I don't have words. That's good stuff. That's good stuff, dude. No, there's no surprise why you're selling a lot. As we move through this interview, guys, if you've got questions, drop them in the comments, and I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them. Let's talk. Let me talk. I wanted to look and see here if I missed anything that I said we were going to talk about. Oh yeah, budget. So you talked about that $2,000 a week in overhead that you're viewing as just business overhead.
Right.
How do you plan to deploy that weekly? Is that going to be leads? Is that going to be staff? Do you plan on increasing that budget once your cash flow increases to build a real business? What's your headspace around that?
So right now it's just kind of replace and replenish, 1,000, 1,200 in leads, however much I can get, whether it's the BPLs, the CRMs, and then replacing that Monday and Thursday. But ideally, I looked at it as I'm gonna have about a $10,000 a month overhead. That's gonna be about 8,000 in leads, and then that other 2,000 is gonna be fixed in, whether it's for staff members, whether it's for my gas, my food, the things that I'm on the road with. That's all my business overhead. And I know that it's gonna take all those things. So I'm not just looking at, oh, I gotta spend money on leads. No, we gotta look at the big picture. So I'm gonna put all the money in the basket. In Rainbow, with the program they had in place, it was $350 per lead is what they were paying. So for me to come in here and get a silver lead for $1, or get a $11 lead, hell, even a $60 to $80 lead, not only am I make more per sale than what I did on the Rainbow, but it costs way less to operate it. It's almost like it's too good to be true. And if I wouldn't see the numbers and have the email 24 to 36 hours later that said, hey, you submitted this, you're getting paid that, it's almost like I wouldn't believe it either.
So when you say too good to be true, a lot of people would take that thought and be like, well, what's not too good to be true is you got to buy leads. Now you're saying even with the lead costs, when you were hearing about this, it was still too good to be true. Break that down. What was too good to be true about that?
Well, I mean, he was spending anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 to make $30,000 to $40,000. So that's just it's. I mean, I have 2 brothers that own businesses. One of them's like a big manufacturer, like cooler Yeti type business. One of them's like a distillery and alcohol. And one of them owns a mortgage business. So 3 brothers own 3 businesses. All of them have way bigger overhead than that. And I've seen their yearly statements because I wrote some policies on them. And trust me, whenever I tell you I'm gonna make more than them, it's not even gonna be funny.
That's some good insight into the business world. We always talk about, like, dude, if you want to buy into a business, like even Rainbow, for example, you get the 60,000 plus another 360,000 in overhead you can expect for the year,
right?
Which isn't that's not the sexy. Those aren't the sexiest numbers in the world. When you start any type of other business, you might not have the overhead at first, but you're red for 2 years.
Right.
And I hear what you're saying, where especially when you take this approach for 12, dude, you run like this, you sprint like this for 12 months. It's a sprinting marathon. You do this, you will look back and you won't even believe it. I mean, Steve on the call here, it's like, dude, you remember the first time you got 1099 for $1 million. It's like, I just ran and didn't look back. And that's uncommon. when we talk about the $250,000 club in here, that puts you as one of the top 1% earners in the country. And you do that closing 1 out of 3 set and 25 appointments a week. Like that ain't bad, and that's just great.
And even if, because I had a couple of people that are licensed that talked about not wanting to buy leads as well. And like I told them, if you want to run your same, let me ask all my friends and family members for 10 minutes of their time, you can still do that with FFL if you choose to do so. That's not what I'm doing. I'm personally not going out and recruiting friends and family members to selling policies. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm going to tell them about it, that I'm doing it so they can get it from me. But it goes back to, if you can do something and make 100% or 105, 110, 130, why would you accept anything less? So if you're going to work with insurance and you're going to door knock, you're going to ask for referrals, do it with FFL. If you're going to work in insurance and you're going to buy leads, do it with FFL. You're just going to get paid the most for your money. It don't make sense to do it anywhere else.
Big facts, dude. This was so strong. Very appropriate to start off 2022, the year of growth. Tons of gold nuggets in here. People are like, yo, where can we download this and listen to this stuff on loop already? So just want to thank you, man. McGehee, ready to go, baby. It's your year. Guys, let's get back on the phones. Let's set a lot of appointments and get the momentum going in 2022. See you next Monday.
Thank you, man.
Bye.
We'll be seeing you in Miami.